Sculpting the sands of time requires great power and skill. You have neither, Liu Kang. You may be a god, but I am a titan.
Fight.
Architect of all destinies within the universe, Kronika, the Keeper of Time, is a primeval being known as a Titaness from the Mortal Kombat universe. She exists in a place outside of all the realms and can oversee, manipulate, interrupt, or repeat any event that occurs in the universe at her own discretion. She has lived for many aeons and continues to work on the different destinies of different timelines of different characters for the sole purpose of reaching her idea of perfection. She maintains a balance in life by creating both good and evil. Neither of the two ever gains an advantage over the other in Kronika's path to perfection. Kronika maintains this balance by controlling her children, Shinnok and Cetrion. Shinnok was her manifestation of someone who always tears away at the fabric of mortality and functions only for the desire to completely disrupt and dominate the life force of the realms. Meanwhile, Cetrion is Kronika's manifestation of all that is pure and virtuous and acts only to achieve justice in all forms of life. Obsessed with the idea of balance and failing time after time as the denizens of her universe, both mortal and godly, thwart her plans through their petty conquests and thirst for power, Kronika decides that it's finally time for her to be involved in achieving her vision of perfection. Not interested in the quarrels of the commoners, Kronika only decided to intervene when Raiden, the god of thunder and protector of Earthrealm, decided to take the fallen elder god Shinnok's fate into his own hands. By doing so, Raiden had disrupted the balance that Kronika had worked so long to keep, and for that she decided to make his life to be non-existent in the timeline that follows. Kronika's name is derived from Greek mythology. Kronos, the king of the Titans and the god of time, was a destructive, all-devouring force who ruled the cosmos after usurping his father, Uranus, the Titan god of the sky. Much like the inspiration, Kronika is something that is beyond the usual confines of life and what follows. She is an entity that has lived from the dawn of time, and over that period, the concept of death has been desensitized to her because of the uncountable number of timelines she has lived through. In this video, we will go through her entire lore, her fighting prowess, and her underutilization in the recent installment in the Mortal Kombat animated movie world. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Food for thought. The introduction of a character like Kronika is something that can give meaning to the countless fights that we, as players, have played through in the various Mortal Kombat games over the years. For example, in Mortal Kombat 11, we see Raiden and Liu Kang fighting each other in different timelines due to the machinations of Kronika. Who is to deny that a fight between two players in the real world cannot come to fruition in one of the timelines that Kronika has restarted? Although this is nowhere near a confirmed theory, we, as fans, can only speculate and somehow give reason to the infinite amount of hours that we have collectively invested in the game. Just something to think about. Exploring her entire story arc, Kronika, Titaness and Keeper of Time, is a being that is higher in the hierarchy than the Elder Gods. Existing since the dawn of time, Kronika is a primeval being and is termed the architect of the destiny of the whole universe. Mother to Shinnok, the Elder God of death and corruption, and his counterpart Cetrion, the Elder Goddess of life and virtue, Kronika maintains a balance of good and evil in the universe through her children. As the Keeper of Time, she has always been in search of perfection in her timeline. Each and every timeline that she creates serves her in order to achieve her new era as she evolves her plans just as they fail and learns from each failed timeline. She has shaped the sands of time in a dimension that exists outside the usual planes of the other realms, which she uses to create destinies and fates of every living being as she pleases. As Raiden was corrupted after cleansing the Jinsei of Earthrealm of Shinnok's evil, he decided to implement a different approach in his ways of protecting Earthrealm. He had decided to seek out and destroy any and every entity that possessed a threat to Earthrealm. In his newly adopted ways, Dark Raiden decided to behead Shinnok as he was an immortal being that could not be killed. Stating that there were worse fates than death, Raiden offered Shinnok's decapitated head to his future adversaries, the Revenant, Kitana, and Liu Kang, as a sign of his wrath. Because of this, Raiden had irrevocably tipped the balance of the universe that Kronika had worked tirelessly to achieve in favor of the forces of good. We first see Kronika as she arrives at the Jinsei chamber right after Raiden leaves the premise. She approaches her son Shinnok's decapitated head and stops the blood from draining before expressing her displeasure and anger towards the actions of Raiden and how he had managed to upset the balance of the universe's good and evil. As the special forces are successful in their mission to destroy the place of Kitana and Liu Kang in the Netherrealm and cripple the forces of their minions, Kronika appears before them and reverses time to rebuild their palace from the ruins. This also causes a time anomaly and allows for two continuities to be merged into one. Many of the warriors from a past timeline start appearing as time-displaced counterparts to their current versions. Due to this immortality, Dark Raiden ceased to exist, and a time-displaced version of Raiden from the first Mortal Kombat tournament takes his place. This had effectively revived old friends and foes of the heroes, including the likes of a younger Sonya Blade and Johnny Cage, and even the Emperor, Shao Kahn. After he escapes from the Colosseum, Shao Kahn is approached at the Chitin Hive by Kronika, accompanied by Geras, as she intends to enlist the might of his armies in the protection of her keep. In return, she promises Shao Kahn an empire that far exceeds his current one in every way imaginable in her new era. She even enlists members of the Black Dragon and warriors such as Devourer and Collector. After Geras is successful in attaining the powers of the Jinsei by besting Liu Kang and Kung Lao, Kronika insists that Geras leave the time-displaced Shaolin monks alive. Otherwise, their current Revenant version would also cease to exist. Geras complies and hands over the vials containing the Jinsei to Kronika so that she is able to fulfill her goal of reshaping the whole world in search of her perfection. In order to gather forces for the defense of the hourglass in her keep so the sands of time stay intact while she resculpts time, Kronika enlists Shao Kahn, Sector, and Kitana. Shao Kahn's plan is to overthrow Kotal Khan's empire and rule the armies of the Outworld by reclaiming his throne. Sector is tasked with revitalizing the Cyber Lin Kuei initiative and ensuring that all of the cyborgs are in perfect condition to be able to fight accordingly. At the same time, Kitana is tasked with providing the armies of Netherrealm that are under her command. As a retired and mentally defeated Special Forces officer, Jackson Briggs sat on a couch watching his television, awaiting his daughter, Jackie Briggs' call. He is approached by Kronika, who tells Jax how this was not the fate she had planned for him. She continues to tell him how his retirement was supposed to be glorious and his family was supposed to have grandchildren and how his child was not supposed to be enlisted in the forces. She shows him promises of a better future where he would not have to go through all the horrors of battles that he has lived through in the past. Enticed by such promises, Jack accepts her allegiance. Next, Kronika explains how her plan for Shang Tsung's fate was to collect souls for his Well of Souls, as she knew that one day it would be helpful for her. She sends Cetrion and present-day Jax to retrieve the Soul Crown to Shang Tsung's island. Although successful, Jax was conflicted due to the events that transpired while he was completing his task, as he was faced with his daughter and a past version of himself trying to stop him. Then, Kronika showed up in the Fire Gardens to taunt Raiden about his nefarious deeds. After ensuring him that his attempt to thwart her plans is futile, Kronika displaces the younger Liu Kang and holds him hostage inside her keep. Knowing that in order to prevent the patterns of previous timelines from re-emerging, Raiden would try to invade her keep to protect Liu Kang, Kronika readied her forces to defend it. In the final battle between the Netherrealm armies and Earthrealm and Outworld's combined forces, Kronika ordered her underlings to attack Fire God Liu Kang, who had been a result of the merger between Raiden and Liu Kang. The Revenant Jade, Kitana, and Kung Lao follow their orders but are defeated by an all-powerful Liu Kang. Seeing as this posed a massive threat to her vision, Kronika casts a temporal reversion back to the start, which caused a widespread distortion on all of the forces that were engaged in battle, but Liu Kang was immune to it due to his merger with the immortal Raiden. Kronika then tasks Cetrion with defeating Liu Kang. As Cetrion fails, Kronika asks her for one final act of service. She asks her to give her powers by transferring her essence into Kronika, to which she complies. Now, more powerful than before, Kronika reverts time by rewriting history back to the prehistoric age. As the battle for the sake of the universe comes to an end, Liu Kang is triumphant, and the Shaolin shatters Kronika's body into pieces, ultimately killing her. Now mortal, Raiden appears behind Liu Kang and deems him worthy enough to be the new protector of Earthrealm. as Raiden tells Lord Liu Kang that he needs to bring the hourglass back to the dawn of time so that he may create a new and better history. Liu Kang comments how he cannot do this alone as it is too much of a responsibility. Raiden then replies by saying that he would assist and guide him as long as his mortality allows him to do so. Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath. As Kronika continues working on the hourglass, she is approached by Geras and Frost, who warn her about the re-emergence of Shang Tsung, Fujin and Nightwolf. Believing their escape from the void to be impossible, Kronika is in disbelief and sends Geras and Frost to subdue them. Upon realizing that their plan is to possess the Soul Crown themselves, Kronika sends Cetrion to Shang Tsung's island and tells her to stop them in the process and also attain the crown herself. As the combined might of Sindel, Nightwolf, Fujin and Shang Tsung prove too much for Cetrion to bear, defeated, she returns back to Kronika after Shang Tsung heavily wounds her. Underestimating Shang Tsung's might and ingenuity before sending Cetrion on the mission, Kronika realizes that the only way her enemies would have succeeded was if she was defeated in the future. This makes her question how strong Shang Tsung really is and if his newfound allies know the dangers that allying with him can bring. Kronika then arrives at the Fire Gardens and confronts Raiden, Shang Tsung and Fujin. The heroes have a revelation as Kronika informs them that the reason Shang Tsung knows so much about her crown is because he is the one who created it. As the confrontation continues, Kronika attempts to wipe Fujin from existence, but the Wind God resists her powers by wearing her crown and overcoming her. As the forces of Earthrealm, consisting of the Special Forces and the Shaolin, start their invasion of Kronika's keep, she asks Cetrion to transfer her essence into her so that she can become even more powerful for the upcoming battles. Shang Tsung, who now wears her crown and has had a power boost by siphoning part of Raiden and Fujin's souls, faces her by approaching the hourglass with Sindel and Shao Kahn accompanying him. Kronika sends the Revenants Jade, Kung Lao and Katana to defend her, but they are easily defeated by the combination of three powerhouses, Shang Tsung, Shao Kahn and Sindel. As Shang Tsung briefly overpowers Kronika out of the picture, he betrays Shao Kahn and Sindel and eventually drains their souls. This made him even stronger and capable of fighting Kronika head to head. As Kronika refuses Shang Tsung's offer to serve him in his new era, the two fight and Shang Tsung comes out triumphant. Victorious, Shang Tsung then absorbs the defeated Kronika's power and she fades away in a cloud of sand. Is it possible to defeat Kronika in the game? Although the answer to that question is a definite yes, the fight between the player and Kronika is something that strays far, far away from the word easy. Kronika is one of those bosses that are made to be unfair. As a Titaness and the Keeper of Time, you would expect Kronika to be an enemy with an unfathomable amount of power and someone who can literally snap you out of existence, not to be confused with another Mad Titan who is weirdly fond of snapping people out of existence in search of balance. Kronika possesses a plethora of powerful attacks in her arsenal, and the AI for the character is not above spamming these moves to annoy the player into quitting the game. By the time you fight Kronika in Mortal Kombat 11, you must already have a great sense of understanding of how the mechanics of the game work, and trust us, you will have to use those to your advantage to make it so that you breeze through with little difficulty in the fight against the Titaness. To secure a victory over this final boss, it is essential that you keep yourself in close proximity to her, as she is capable of dishing out massive amounts of damage through the use of her projectiles that she can spam without much room to punish her. We only get a frame of vulnerability against her in which we can counter and punish her for spamming. Still, not everyone is capable of performing such a counter, as it relies on a timed reaction and accurate positioning. Although the first instinct of a player would be to play defensively against an opponent like that, we advise against it, as she will continue to apply pressure on you. Instead, you need to be active in how you position your character and use your zoning skills to pull her close to you or into a corner. We do not ensure victory through this method, however, as Kronika has the ability to teleport, but it's a good starting point. Another thing that you need to keep in mind is that Kronika is immune to equipment augmentation, juggle combos, grapples, throws, fatal blows, and crushing blows. So the approach that you should be taking is is to close the distance and use basic combos to inflict as much damage as you can within the small opening that you get. A combination of low, medium, high and overhead attacks can be very effective. Once Kronika gets to 50% of her health, you will be faced by one of her minions or allies. Although these fighters are pretty fragile compared to Kronika, they still pose a threat and can lower your health considerably. Try to take them out as fast as possible, even resorting to fatal blows if you can. With these tips, beating Kronika can become easier than if you had just tried to blindly go into battle. Do let us know in the comments if there is more than meets the eye when fighting Kronika and how you bested her in your playthrough of the game.
Well, to be honest, I was too the first time I saw it. It's called Kronika's Hour.
Did the recent Mortal Kombat movie Snowblind miss a trick with Kronika? The recent animated movie Mortal Kombat Legends, Snowblind accumulated a lot of well-deserved backlash from fans of the series on the decision not to include Kronika in the story. Although the movie is not canon and does make for a reasonably great watch, long-term fans of Mortal Kombat were disappointed to see Kano as the Keeper of Time when it could have very well been Kronika, the actual Keeper of Time. Both sides of the argument make excellent points, as the plotline was successful in making Kano the extremely powerful adversary that the heroes had to overcome to finish victorious. Still, at the same time, the introduction of Kronika would have been a first outside the games, and the character is yet to be explored thoroughly as she brings so much to the table, and the whole fanbase wants to know more about her. The deadliest and most formidable villain of the entire franchise, Kronika, was removed from existence in the movie so that the enigmatic return of Kano as an all-powerful being could be explained. The gripe the fans had was that a character with such potential was not included just for the convenience of storytelling. Snowblind failed to acknowledge how Kano was able to overcome the might of Kronika, attain the Hourglass, possess Kronika's crown, and thwart Raiden and company in their attempt to stop him from doing so. It fails in its efforts to build a world where all the components of the Mortal Kombat universe are being put to use. Hopefully, in future installments of the franchise, we get to see more of the Titaness and experience her wrath firsthand, because she is capable of so much more as the most powerful entity ever introduced in the franchise. The incredible powers of Kronika. Throughout the lifespan of the Mortal Kombat franchise, from its initial production phase to the grand scale that Mortal Kombat 11 is on now, we have never been introduced to a character that holds as much power as Kronika does. The power to control time and space is something the 90s kid cannot even think of when talking about Mortal Kombat. When Kronika is introduced in the game, she is on a tier that is way higher than all the characters that we know and love in terms of power and scaling. She has shown control over time by, among other things, halting the passage of time itself around anybody she chooses. She can even exclude individuals from this time hole as per her wishes. In the storyline of Mortal Kombat 11, we see the doppelgangers of many of the established characters only because of the time merger that Kronika performed in order to achieve her perfect timeline. It is her powers that allow these doppelgangers to exist in the same time and space as their current counterparts, and that is a feat worth mentioning when talking about her powers, as she has effortlessly and effectively merged two realities into one. Kronika is a Titaness who is on a pedestal that is even higher than the Elder Gods in terms of the godly hierarchy of the Mortal Kombat universe. She has complete control over the sands of time, through which she can summon sandstorms, blast her enemies, or even create sharp-edged glass structures that can rupture her opponent's skin on contact due to the speed at which she launches these projectiles. She can even use these sands in a defensive manner, as she can herself turn into sand to become completely intangible and impermeable to attacks. She can also create barriers that block projectiles and hurt her opponents when inside. In addition, Kronika has access to psychic abilities like telekinesis, which she can use to rip her victims in two or control their bodies as a whole in a single motion. She may also call on other warriors to help her. It's assumed that these warriors come from different timelines and will do what she she says without questioning. These warriors aren't quite as powerful as their counterparts in the main timeline though. Even though her arsenal is full of energy manipulation and telekinesis, her strongest ability is a concentrated blast of energy that locks her foes in a temporal bubble which stuns them and renders them helpless for a few seconds. Kronika is entirely immune to any kind of crushing blows, fatal blows, juggle combos, grabs and throws. She can also use a variety of projectile attacks that can inflict massive amounts of damage at range and stop her opponents from closing in on her. Conclusion: Kronika is the strongest being that has ever been introduced in the Mortal Kombat franchise. She is a character that existed as part of the myths of the universe. She even trumps the elder gods in their hierarchy. It will be a significant disservice and underutilization if such a formidable character is only used in a single game and not explored further in subsequent games or other forms of media from the Mortal Kombat franchise. As of now, we fans can only hope to know more about her from the creators as the strongest being in all of the universe, capable of controlling space and time, deserves more plot lines than simply being defeated in Mortal Kombat 11 and not even being a playable character. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.
The start of the new era.